Hey guys, it's Brad. Welcome to my farm. Well, it used to be my farm. We rented this farmhouse you're about to see for about 2.5 years. It was a friend of a friend of a friend that owned it. That's the way a lot of stuff here is rented out. That's how you'll find it. People want to know who they're renting to. It's very easy for landowners here to get stiffed by tenants. You can ask any Italian that's tried renting stuff out. A lot of times people decide they don't want to pay, and it's very difficult to get rid of them, especially if they have children, especially if those children are under 6 years old. They can stay sometime for years without paying any rent, and there's nothing you can do. So it's hard to find a good rental here, and we found one through our friend and agent Montepulciano here in Montepulciano, and because I had bought a whole lot of stuff, they gave me a very good deal. It's now coming up for rent again, and I first want to say to all the people that contacted me that knew we were moving because they watch my channel, I couldn't make a decision because the owner hadn't decided what to do. And then so many people had contacted me about the property, I kind of got lost to who was first, and I didn't want to just take one person and send them in. So here's what we're going to do. In a minute, I'm going to show you the property. If you like the property, write me at bradsworld8@gmail.com. Write a little letter in a Word doc or some sort of doc that I can print out. I guess it'd be okay just in the email too. I can print that out. But do it in Italian. You can use translator. I'm not saying you have to go learn Italian to do it, but print out, do a nice letter. I'll print it out and I'll present all of them to the owner, and then he'll be able to decide who he wants to rent to. And you don't have to tell your whole life story. Just say, we're a couple, we have 2 dogs. Dogs are usually okay, as long as they're not destructive. And we want to come, we're probably going to rent it for 2 years. Here's the deal. The rent is 1,200 euros per month. That's a little bit more than I paid, but this time, whereas I paid for everything in the house, he's including the electric, which ran us about 110 to 160 a month, depending on the time of the year, the water, the trash service, and then the only thing you have to take care of is the gas. Gas is very expensive here, and if you want to have your house heated up like a Swedish sauna all winter long, it's going to cost thousands of dollars. We spend about $2,400 a year on gas, and that is the gas water heater, and also for the radiator system that keeps the house nice and toasty. So that's the deal. It's $1,200 a month. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It has a small garage. I never put my SUV into it. I have a mid-size SUV. I never put my SUV into it because I thought it was a little difficult to get into. But with a small car like a Panda or a Fiat, no problem at all. And it has a nice front porch. It is 70 acres of land that this gentleman owns, and you basically have free run of it. Most of it is grapevines. There's 2,000 olive trees. I'm in my front yard, olive grove right now. I came through and by hand, and eventually I bought a little chainsaw to help, trimmed 120 olive trees so the place looked nice and tight. And I have a riding mower. I've made an agreement with the gentleman that I'll continue to mow all the grass here as long as I need to use the property for my dogs. And not this property that you'd be renting, but his main house is over here, but they don't live here. So you'd be out here by yourself. And I'll be putting up a satellite shot here. This is really a peninsula of land, and the house is the last house on that peninsula. So it is very quiet and very private. So let's go and see inside the house. I'll take you a quick tour. I'll show you around the property a little bit. And if you're interested, write me, again, at bradsworld8@gmail.com, and I'll get you introduced to the owner, Nicola. He's a great older gentleman. He's been a fabulous neighbor to have. He watches the place when we're gone. We watch the place when he's not here. We took care of it really nice, and I think this will make a very nice home for somebody. I should add here that this is not a 1-year lease. Now, he doesn't mind if you stay for multiple years, but this is what's called an agriturismo. It's like a country working farm home. He can only write a maximum of a 6-month lease. So this would not work if you're trying to show a place that you're going to live for your ERV. Also included in the price is the €2 per day fee that you have to pay when you're staying in an agriturismo. He's going to pay that for up to 2 people. That could be another 120 euros per month that he's going to pay. So a lot of stuff is included in the price, and he's willing to let you stay as long as you reasonably want to stay. And we found him to be, like I said, a great landlord. We've been here for 2 years, 6 months, and we just felt it was time to go stay in one of our apartments. We own them free and clear. Now I don't have any property tax to pay. I don't have a mortgage to pay. I don't have rent to pay. And I find that more interesting than having yet another rental property. But we're going to talk about that in another video coming up real soon. So let's get inside. I spent a lot of evenings sitting out here in that chair, just looking at the grounds. And I got to tell you, my boys loved it out here. They find the city very interesting, but they love just sitting out here waiting for a rabbit to show up. So let's get inside. So the front porch is nice. We did have a windstorm the other day, and it knocked down one of our planters and broke it. So we're going to have to move another one in its place, but this is your front porch. Let's go inside. So it's a good sized house. It's about 1,200, 1,300 square feet, about 120 meters, not including the garage and the storage room, which we'll get to. Lots of windows here, so it's not a dark place at all. And I apologize for a little bit of the strobe effect, but that's because everything in here is, I switched to LED. There's a fireplace that we never used. He says it smokes a little bit. The place comes fully furnished, just like you see it. You wouldn't need to buy any major furniture. This table expands out. There's, I think, a total of 12 chairs that you can put at it. It even has all the dishes. Everything is here. Your kitchen, little dinette. I would probably talk to him about putting in a new oven. This one's okay, but we had a little trouble with the actual heat control. We're leaving our espresso machine and the microwave, the fridge and stuff's in here. That's the freezer. That's your fridge. Because we had such a good deal here, we helped the signore replace some stuff or get it repaired. By the way, that wine cooler, that's going with us. That's ours. We just haven't had a chance to move it yet. So the whole house is radiant heat. Works great. So that's the front of the house. Let's go see the back. The house was last remodeled, I believe, in the 90s. So at least it doesn't have real garish 70s kind of tiles and things. It's an absolute great function shape. There's a little bit of cracking in some of the walls because everything in this area is built on clay. Comes with the washer. We never had a dryer. We always just line dried. I had used this room as my closet. We kept one twin bed in here up against the wall, but I had built a big shelf and 2 bars I put into the walls so I could hang all my stuff because we had a lot of things we wanted to keep out of the storage boxes, and we didn't have enough armoire space. So that's one bedroom. This is the second bedroom. Ceilings are nice and tall. There's no like short, only 1.5 meters at the wall type stuff here. Everything is full-size ceilings. And again, it comes with all this furniture. And frankly, there's great views out of every window, like a painting. This is facing north. You can actually see Cortona most days. It's just across the valley on the mountains, and then more this way would be Arezzo, and then Florence above that. There's gigantic oak trees on the property. Look at that tree. Beautiful. And these are all your olives. And you can pick them if you want. Next year, I recommend they do a fungicide on them. We had fungus this year, so we didn't pick any of the olives. Big armoires, all included, nightstands. We're leaving some of the stuff we bought to decorate the place, like this mirror, and I'll show you some other things, so it's not completely barren on the walls. This is the third bedroom. This is the one we used as our master primary. There's a big metal bed that needs to go back. Oli and I didn't want to have a big metal frame bed in here with the baseboard and the headboard and the squeaky and everything. So we took that out, but they'll be putting that back in. And again, this artwork, the mirror, the lamps, all that stuff stays. And then you get to the best view of the house. This one has the shower, upright shower. It's not huge. I always joke in my videos, you can't hardly bend down and touch your toes. It's a 70 by 90 or something centimeter. Not very big, but nice to have a shower. Everything's clean and great function. And then you have your view. I wanted to point out, guys, that here's the house. And that big building down there is the regional hospital. That's how close you are. It's about a 7-minute drive because you have to go back up to the main road and go down that road for about 3 or 4 minutes. But that's a lot better than being 45 minutes from a life flight helicopter or a full service ER. All right, guys, let's go around the house. By the way, if you end up renting this place, this gets real slippery in the when it's wet, so be careful. So in here, we have a storage room that's yours to use. If I can find the light, there it is. That's the water tank for the house. That's the water pump. There's even more rooms with even more storage, but they're pretty dirty. I mean, this house is well over 150 years old. They've done, all sorts of work to it over the years, but it's a seriously old house. So you have that room, and then you have a pretty good sized garage. And like I was saying, I'll back up a little bit here. The garage height isn't super tall, but any sort of smaller car like you would normally drive here would be no problem. I don't like messing with, we were using it a lot for storage, so I didn't have room for my car in here anyway. But that's your garage. And it's been raining a lot, so I'm not going to take you down into the woods, but I told you this was a peninsula and the land drops off. This is where it drops off at. Goes straight downhill through olive forest. This is the old pigsty. More olive forest. They haven't been tended in more than 10 years, so everything's overgrown. This is what the front yard looked like. If you remember in the beginning of the video, how nice and neatly trimmed everything was. This is what I had to go through 120 times, getting rid of all the undergrowth and trimming out the trees. But it was a fun project and it looked so nice afterwards. I actually made this back here, cleaned it all up so that you could sit back here on a hot summer day because the sun would be setting over there and it would stay nice and cool back here. And let me just show you one thing that's interesting. You can see all the little cubby holes from the animals that come through here. These tracks are made by cinghiali, wild boar or deer, and they run everywhere up here. Be careful with the cinghiali. They can be quite dangerous. But generally they only come out at night. We only saw them in the front yard a couple times. This is your nicely trimmed olive grove now. I gave up after 120. I didn't want to do the other 1,880 trees that he had. Well, gosh, guys, I mean, that's about all I can say about a 1,200 square foot rental house. We're 4 or 5 minutes from Montepulciano. You would have to have a car if you live here, unless you want to walk 30 minutes uphill in the rain every time you want to go to the grocery store. I just think you really have to have a car. You don't have to, but really I don't think you're going to live here if you don't have a car. There is bus service on those days that maybe you want to take a nice walk uphill to get to the bus stop. Comes every hour, takes you up to the city, and it only costs like €1.50, I think. And it is a nice service. Then you can also go from here to all the other cities around here once you transfer at the main bus station here in Montepulciano. And I think you'll find this is a great place. Once you back out the electric, which is being paid for you, the water, the trash is being paid for you, and the $4 a day city tax, which he's going to take care of, up to $120 a month for 2 people. Anything above that, he would have you chip in for it. You back all that stuff out, and really you're looking at about an 800, 850 euro a month rental for 3-bedroom, 2-bath on 70 acres of grapes and olive trees that's been pretty well maintained by me over the last 2.5 years. So your front yard's tight, everything looks good. And the signore does not live out here. He lives in the city, so it's very private. And you'll see lots of wildlife here. We have wild boar, we have rabbits, we have deer, we have spinosa, which are like gigantic porcupines, and we have badgers, and we have fox. We have all sorts of stuff. I actually had a camera where I was making nighttime movies, one of those hunter cameras that you put in the woods, and we pretty much saw everything. There's even a rumor that there's wolves here. One of our neighbors told us recently she saw a wolf chasing a deer through here. There are some big forests not too far from here, so occasionally people do spot wolves, but they are never a threat to humans. So anyway, if you need me, you know where to find me, and send me the email with a letter to Mr. Parlato, P-A-R-L-A-T-O, and just explain briefly who you are. It doesn't have to be a whole life story. How many people are coming, if anyone's going to be coming for more than a week or so that you know of in the future. What kind of visitors you're expecting. He doesn't want a flop house, of course, and he's been he's such a super guy. He's in his 80s, and he's on his tractor every day working this farm, 84, 85, something like that, and he is a super guy. So I think you'll really enjoy living here. I know we did, and it's kind of bittersweet leaving now, but we're also enjoying living in our big apartment in the city. And it's a different kind of lifestyle, and now we don't have to pay rent, we don't have to pay mortgage, we don't have to pay property tax, and that's really eventually what it's going to be or should be for you if you're making the move to Italy. To get yourself basically expense-free, buy a car, pay it off, don't have any bills. You won't have much in healthcare cost here once you're in the system. So It's a stepping stone. And I hope you guys take it. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Olivia says hello. All the dogs say hello. And we'll see you guys next time on Brad's World. Ciao. Cool.